Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Ethereum, and we're going to be looking at the extension from the 20-week moving average over the last couple of years. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go for 250,000 subscribers. We're almost there, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we've talked about our bull market support extensively for Bitcoin. Okay, and while we haven't tested it since October, we know that historically it has been a decent area to test in a bull market when you get substantial corrections. Arguably this cycle, ever since we tested it last in October, we've actually been holding the 8-week moving average as support rather than the 20-week, which is why we say it's more emblematic of what happened 2 cycles ago rather than the current cycle. But going over to Ethereum, we can see that in the same manner as Bitcoin, there were key times last cycle where Ethereum held the 20-week moving average as support. Now, the key difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum is that Ethereum has higher volatility. However, we pay for more units of risk by buying it, therefore we hopefully will get a higher return. However, you pay for that return with more volatility, more risk. For instance, we know that with Bitcoin, the most major correction we had last cycle to the 20-week moving average was at around 40% or so. Okay, and we had several of them. We had at least 2 or 3 of them. We had several 20 to 30% corrections. But with Ethereum, the corrections were actually much more substantial. For instance, this correction to the 20-week moving average came in at a modest 66% or so. We had another one over here that took us down 40%. So that was about the same that we saw Bitcoin. But we can see that the corrections to the 20-week moving average were in fact more substantial for Ethereum, especially after this major move. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to pull up our extension from the 20-week moving average. Now, to fully understand this, what do we have to do? We always need to go back to Bitcoin and see what Bitcoin's looks like. I mean, sometimes when I make Ethereum videos, I feel like they end up being 50% Ethereum, 50% Bitcoin. But we have to understand how Bitcoin has worked over the past to maybe get an idea of what Ethereum is capable of this cycle. So this is color-coded based on whether Bitcoin is above the 20-week SMA or the 21-week EMA, and it's color-coded red if it's below both. But what you notice for Bitcoin is that the extension from the 20-week moving average, as we know, tends to decrease with time. Okay, it tends to decrease with time. And despite the fact that everyone each cycle will say, nothing like this has ever happened before, this is completely new, this is a new normal, we're just going to go up and up and up forever, we simply pull up the chart and we say, well, compared to the last cycle, we had a move that was more substantial than this when you compare our extension from the 20-week. And the cycle before, we had 2 areas where we were extended more. Okay, and then the cycle before, we even were extended more than that. So we know that there's no reason to say that this is necessarily a new normal. It's actually just more or less the same. So if we were to go back over and look at Ethereum, what might we expect? Okay, what's something that we could foresee happening? Well, if you were to sort of draw a line like this, obviously we don't really have a whole lot of data points, and these 2 lines are actually part of the same cycle. But sort of going in tangent with a line like this, we might say, well, even where we currently are, we're still not at the height of the extension from the 20-week moving average that we could be at and still sort of be on a general downtrend each market cycle or each sub-market cycle. And then if you look at recent times, we've mostly been trending up in terms of our extension from the 20-week moving average. So we could just sort of draw this line and say, these lines are not necessarily meant to be respected by any means, but they're more so being drawn so that you can sort of visualize what's happening, despite the fact that it seems like Ethereum can sometimes seem bearish. We can see that, well, it's actually still relatively far extended from the 20-week moving average. Remember, this indicator, for those that are new, is nothing more than the natural log of the price over the 20-week SMA. Okay, that's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. You can code it yourself and you'll get the same exact thing. I just also color-coded it based on whether Ethereum was above its 20-week SMA or the 21-week EMA, and then color-coded it red if it was below both of them. The reason why I do that is because I feel like it really helps you see where the bull markets are, right? So we know this was a bull market. and then this was a bull market, and then this was a bull market, and then this one was a very brief bull market, but I don't actually consider it a bull market because we did not hold the 20-week moving average as support, which is one of the criteria that I've said to me is important to say whether you're in a sustained bull market. Is you want to have a golden cross, you want to see the 50-day going above the 200-day moving average, you want to be above the 20-week moving average, you want to go well above the 20-week, and then you want to come back down, test it, confirm it as support, and then blast off. And that's exactly what Bitcoin has done. So we look at Ethereum and we say, well, we know that it is moving up. In fact, our current bottom right now, and of course it could drop even more, but our current bottom is actually around the same place. Right, it's around the same place that our top was back in February of 2020. So about a year ago, the current level, which is very bearish for people, is actually at basically the same level where people were going crazy over here. So you can see how quickly times can change, right? They can change incredibly quickly. So if we were in fact to bounce off of this and then continue back up, then we would maybe be looking at yet another sustained run of Ethereum into the 2,500 range, 3,000 range. If we're ever so lucky, maybe we can go even higher. But I think a lot of that will depend on the time it takes us to do it. Okay, so the longer we build up, a lot of people start to get impatient and might, they start to think, okay, this is completely worthless. In my opinion, the longer we build up at these levels, ultimately, I think the higher we can go. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't have a pullback, right? It doesn't mean we can't go back to 1,300, back to 1,400 or anything like that. But in terms of the grand scheme of the market cycle, I still think we have a long ways to go. And so what I would say for me personally is that, if we had major dips, then that could present opportunities. It's not financial advice. Of course, some people will see it as reason to capitulate at probably the worst time. Let's see what happens. We'll see if we can continue moving back up. Now, sometimes when I make these videos, naturally people say, I'm just reaching. But I would argue that really this is more or less the same thing we've been doing, right? We said a long time ago, back when we were over here, we drew these uptrend channels. We said we should more or less respect them for the next couple years or so. I mean, I didn't say that, but not when we first drew them over about 18 months ago or so. But after that, for 6 months, for 12 months, we've been continuing to say, okay, well, we're still generally respecting them. Yes, I could redraw them. And one of the things we've done before is we looked at it on a linear scale, and we sort of see this sort of expansion where the tops are going higher, like this, and then the bottoms look more like this. So it's sort of expanding away from each other. And so what I would say is that, even in this scenario here, I mean, we could drop below a valuation of 0.03 and still more or less be on the same track we've been on. So I don't think we have enough information yet to say one way or another, what direction Ethereum is heading, but this is nothing more than the same thing we've been seeing. And then this green band that we've had on here, we drew over a year ago saying that this is the Ethereum Bitcoin reaccumulation phase of the cycle, okay? So that, this region is going to be the Ethereum Bitcoin reaccumulation zone. Now, I did contend that we could easily go above it, right? We could have gone above it here. We could also drop below it, like we did back in December. However, we're spending the majority of our time in this band in terms of reaccumulation for the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. If we were to take a measured move to see when we came into it back in July of 2020 to the present day, we've been in it for approximately 245 days, minus maybe 2 or 3 weeks when we briefly left it. So I do think that so far it has been standing the test of time, in my opinion. And it continues to show that our typical reaccumulation of the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation ranges between approximately 0.028 and 0.042 or 0.043, but somewhere in that ballpark, 0.028 up to 0.042 or 043. So we'll keep at it. If you guys like the content, remember we have the premium list, Altcoin season sale. You can find a link to that in the description below. Make sure you sign up before the prices go up. You get access to the TradingView indicators, which you see here, the weekly reports and videos, the premium only live streams, the Into the Cryptoverse app, a whole lot more. I can't even remember all of it sometimes, but you get access to the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room as well. So you get access to a lot of stuff. Make sure you sign up before the prices go up. I'm just sort of dragging this on as long as possible because I know the minute I raise them, there's going to be a ton of people. They're going to ask me, hey, like I should have signed up back then, but I didn't. And they're going to want to know. The answer is going to be no. So you have time to sign up now if you want to lock in the lower rate. And then once they go up, I don't anticipate ever dropping them down for the whole package back down to the current level. So make sure you guys sign up if that's something you're looking into. Otherwise, at the very least, subscribe to the channel. Definitely hit the subscribe button. We'll be here every step of the way. Give the video a thumbs up. Click the bell icon to turn on your alerts. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.